I left right out. We're in the truck again, but I wanted to bring something because I was listening to Megyn Kelly, which I don't like to really listen to because I don't know. I just don't quite get that show. They're always like 6 months behind anything, but she is bringing some interesting things up. But it's like, this is stuff that I told you about. A lot of people have said like last year or so, but or a couple years ago now. Keep forgetting the COVID thing has been going on for a long time. But anyway, they're bringing up this stuff on the lab leak theory, which if you've listened to me, which judging by the ratings, no, you haven't. But there's a lot of other people that have been out there. A number of them aren't on YouTube anymore. YouTube is actively squashing this. But we've talked about this. I've said this since the beginning in September 19. Actually, it was more like probably in January where I really figured it out when they actually had it was January-ish, when there was actually scientists that had in India and a few other locations that had gotten a hold of the virus and sequenced it, and they came to conclusion that it was leaked from the lab, that it was, there was interesting genetic information in there that shouldn't be there. And they come to the conclusion that it was man-made, and then the logical thing, just put two and two together from where this was released, or the epicenter of this, next to a level 4 biological lab, that it was a lab leak thing. So that's one. And now, listening to Megyn Kelly, it's like, oh, this is like a revelation that they found these emails, that this is now like a plausible situation, that it's a lab leak. It's like 2 years later. It's like we've told, a lot of us have said this since the beginning, that this is what happened. Just the Occam's razor. It's just the most logical, the most logical happening. It being there from the lab that happens to be right down the street, and not from some kind of bat soup. I mean, this just makes sense. It's ridiculous to not go after that first. And here's the other thing. Give me just 1 second to gather my thoughts on this one. This right here. So what you need to realize is that what the emails don't tell me. This is what I'm saying, and we knew this in the beginning. But what it should confirm to you is not that it was a lab leak thing. It was a lab leak, and they actively put on a massive psychological operation against the world, essentially, not just the American public, to take away from that theory, or what would be the most probable cause of this whole thing. Is it a small unelected actually group of people were able to squash the most logical explanation for an event. And they did it for almost 2 years. Almost 2 years for most people. And still going on for some. So that anybody that says that, you can't do this, that there's not a small group of people that can control the narrative on things, this right here should open your eyes to that. Because there are so many people, even very well-educated people, that are willing to go into lockstep with an authority figure. And despite their own eyes, or even doing their own research, they just go lockstep with it because it's just the easy way to go, whether it be for money, career, maybe they're in debt, I don't know what it is, or just for being part of a group. They did it, they've done it, and some of them are still doing it, and it's amazing. Now let's go into something else, the FBI thing. So people are now starting to wake up to the fact that the FBI is not necessarily their friend. They're almost like a political organization, that they've been running different kind of operations, that have been entrapping people, American citizens, into doing things, even non-citizens, because we can go back to the Boston Marathon bomber and some of the information that the FBI already knew that was given to him by the Russians. But here's the other thing. There was something else I was going to bring up about that. There's interesting ties to that and what we have seen with the October Las Vegas shooting. There was a few years back. And if you don't remember, one of the crime scenes, the supposed gunman's house was quarantined, or evidence by the FBI, and it was broken into that same night. And a lot of the investigation's been in question. There's a lot of evidence that doesn't quite jive. There's a lot of just things they haven't quite added up with that. And that goes back to the FBI and its corruptibility and what really happened there. now you have to question a lot of these investigations the FBI are part of, and that don't quite add up. And you have to use your mind a little bit and realize that we're not getting the real story on that one for sure. And maybe it warrants some other investigation, other theories. And I have my own theory on it. It was actually not my theory, but it's been developed by somebody else that has a lot of evidence and a lot of work and time on that one, but we won't get into that. But if anything, it just shows you that the FBI is not the trusted law enforcement organization that they once were, and that they, just like anything, they're not sacrosanct. They need to be questioned. Not that they can't do good law enforcement work, but if things don't smell right, there's a chance that they're not right. And we live by principles and virtues, so we don't hold up credentialism in people. We let the arguments stand and defend themselves, and we want them to be taken down by other more superior arguments. But anyway, like, subscribe, talk to you later.